Alright, I'm gonna try this. So, Clementine Book 2 review, I've been putting it off because it's a fun game to play. So I'm playing Fortnite. So, um, what I was saying before. I don't think Book 2 is as good as Book 1. And because I think it's struggles from having too many people in it without learning who they are. Where in the games, like if you saw in the first season, you have opportune times to learn who these people, the people you're traveling with, and to and they all have like their own personality. Where in the second book, they just throw in a like ton of people, and you just kind of like you don't get to talk to them that much, and you don't really learn who they are, and then they all just kind of die without any like relevance. And it really just kind of just focus on like the main group of Olivia, Rika, and Clementine, and it doesn't really touch on any of the rest of them. It just like they're just kind of like thrown in the back, and then they die, and it's just like oh well, and you have like no emotional attachment to any of these characters. Like with Amos, it was like oh my god, but because Amos we actually got to spend time with, we got to learn who he was. With the rest of them, there's too many of them. You couldn't spend proper ample time um on all of them. So I just think that that's the reason that that one was worse. You don't get to know who they were. They just are. Oh, and another thing, 'cause I haven't made a video in a while. Um, fucking hell! But episode two of season three, the audio cut out again, and I was like my best episode. I had so many good jokes in that. Really upsetting, but we're talking about the book right now. So that's something that I realized after reading it is you have no emotional attachment to like most of these characters. Like even Miss Morrow, who you spend more time with, you really don't care. Or the kid when he runs back afterwards, I don't even remember his name. Like I don't even remember any of their names, type of thing. Other than Finn, and that's because I think it's a he, survives. So, and like Emmy, I really couldn't have cared about dying. John, I think his name was, or the old couple, I couldn't care. It's that like classic trope where they're like forcing developments with these characters on you, and you're just like you're supposed to like them because of the deep bond they hold with the main character, but you really couldn't care because you don't actually hold that bond with them. That's why the games were so good because they actually develop a bond with you as the character, as the player as well, than just than just the than just the character you're playing as. Where in the book, you really don't have time for that. It kind of just goes by, and because it's a graphic novel, there's not like enough like exposition for that. So, you know, so I just feel like the game suffers from no, not the game. The book suffers from like just not enough time really, and all that. So I feel like it could have done better, but I do like the way it's laid out. Um, Starting with them having to trek through like the woods after the plane crash, and right, because that's where that one starts. It's been a while. Um, I believe that's where that one starts, and I don't really have any necessarily complaints about this one with its choices like I did the first one, because there was that one moment in the first one that got me upset and I didn't like. Uh, and if you watch the video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you watched the video and read the books, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. Um, I don't even mind the end. I think that's a logical. I think that's a completely logical conclusion to make there about what happens there at the end. So, I don't even necessarily really mind that. It's just the whole thing of like there's too many characters. It's like even with in season two where Walter's there for literally like the better part of an episode of a singular episode, and yet he's still really liked. Chuck is there for only about an episode, and he's really liked. Uh, Krista and Omid are around for only like 30 minutes, and oh, I don't. Okay, well, you can go then. Krista and Omid are only there for like 2 episodes, and then they just kind of die at the beginning of the next season. So, god damn, I hate the tack so much. So, and they're really liked, but with the characters in the book, they're around for maybe like 30 minutes of book read, and then they die, and so you really just couldn't care. And you spend a little bit more time with John and Miss Morrow, but like, you know, who cares? Where like something I do is I browse the wiki page of all like the characters. So like stuff that I missed, I can learn. But considering you can't, there's no differences. Um, like the most like exposition we get on any of the characters is that one kid with a missing arm about how he didn't lose it to a bite, but he lost it to a dog bite, and his father just didn't care. Like that's about as much as you get. Or how Emmy's the one who owns the boat. Miss Morrow loves taking care of bodies type of thing. Like there's just small facts, but none of them really like matter, if you know what I mean. They really have like no impact upon the story or the characters. They like Miss Morrow is a loner and she's mean. And that's about it for her. It really doesn't matter. She really doesn't matter in any respect after that. And then she does all that stuff and then she dies. Oh, come on, I'm trying to drink this. Not let it burst in this box. Whoa, bud. Whoa. Don't try me. And that's like her entire character. She's mean. That's like, and like, oh, she loves her kid and dies with him after he dies. Whoop-de fucking do. Like, even with like characters like Ben, who's kind of a background character in the first season, you at least don't get to know him. You know him more than just like he's a screw up. He has his outburst with Kenny. Um, he wants to die in the fourth episode, but you can kind of change his life around, or you can give him a second chance, and it really helps Kenny there, and like they're more than just basically nameless faces, really, because like nobody actually cares about these characters. Like I liked Amos; he was a funny guy. When he died, it shocked me. When the rest of these guys died, I was like, oh no, because it was kind of just like thrust upon you, like they go to sleep. And then, boom, everyone's dead. And you're like, oh, okay then. Huh. And then they move on just like that. Everyone dies, and then they're just like, in the next area. And like, oh, the boat's been stolen. And it's like 3 months later, and you're like, cool. It's like I play D&D. I write backstories for my D&D characters, and it's very much like okay, that was funny. It's very much like the backstories I write for my D&D characters, kind of how it's done. Um, with how there's just giant skips in time, where with my one of my D&D characters, the one I like kind of like the most, my most recent like main one, Eric Fallsworth. There are just giant points and skips in time with the where like after 2 years type of thing, and like yeah, that makes sense. It's a D&D backstory. I can't necessarily write 50 years worth of backstory. I'm not a professional writer, but Tilly Walden is a professional writer, and what the fuck? Nowhere. And but it just seems kind of choppy like that. It seems kind of rigid, and I think probably the main point, the main reason that it's like that is because she was being pressured to release them faster, and so she probably couldn't get enough as much detail about. I don't want to drop the bullet though. Stop doing that. She probably was forced to get it out as fast as possible, so she had to like rush this and like what I do like is that one kid. I think it's Finn. I think Finn is that one kid I'm talking about here, and how he wants to go to Vietnam. Right? I think it was Vietnam. That's nice. I think that's a good touch because that's where he came. That's where he, I think, grew up, and so he wants to return there. Like that's good. I like that. That's some good actual character development there. And it's weird how she focuses specifically on the character we were left with after that. Um, it's almost like she had planned from the start who was gonna die and decided not to look at them very much. Like with Alvin, we grow to like Alvin. We think Alvin's cool. There's no way. There's no way, bro. Bruh. Alright. And then, even if we save him or not, he still dies, no matter what. So, it's kind of like that. Like, we should grow to like the characters, even if they are already condemned to death, you know? Because you save it, if you are able to save him in the second episode, then he still dies in the third, and without like any screen time, really. So, all I'm saying is that the characters probably could have been more drawn out than they were, if we had more time to develop these characters and actually like grow to know them, but instead it was kind of just brushed over and thrown out. Most of these characters were. And then they get on a boat, and now they're off to Greenland, which I still think is so stupid. Who? Why the fuck are we going to Greenland? I mean, I know that we can't necessarily show any of the things that we've already done in the games because it's a book, and if you were to, and one of the things that was said is that none of the stuff, none of the choices that happened in the games are canon. Like the overarching plot is canon, but none of the actual like pinpoint choices are canon. So it said zombies ahead. That's kind of funny actually. But so it's just so you can't really go back, but you don't need to go to Greenland for it. Just seems a little unnecessary. Nobody cares about what happens in Greenland. We're here for Clementine. Like, we don't. Canada was fine. On top of the mountain. Like, I liked On Top of the Mountain. But, like, Greenland? Really? But what I do find good about the second book is how Tilly Walden shows what happens to a community that lives in the apocalypse for a long time, and how most people are like missing limbs because they're like innovating basically. I can't see him, but he can see me. God. So, what? Alright. But, so, the show and how, like, people are being presented with these things and how but almost everyone at this point is an amputee and they're missing some sort of limb or something, like, or they have some sort of problem. I think it's shown great where Clementine is talking to whatever her name is, the boat woman. I can't remember, and how uh, she's like, Rika's going blind, I'm missing my leg, um, Olivia's pregnant, type of thing. See, and it is kind of getting set up to just being the exact same thing that we had at the end of season 4, where you've got a baby and a pet and all that stuff, which is same how way we in season 4 is you've got AJ and Rosie and a romantic interest there. Like, come on. So it just like seems like she's being forced to write stuff that she doesn't necessarily want to write in. You know? That's just how I'm seeing it. Because of just how similar things are to season 4 and to other things in the season. It just seems it's like uncanny. The similarities are just uncanny. That's all I'm saying. So, yo, lucky me. It's a little weird in my opinion. Just a little weird. But I think that's all I've really got to talk about. My commentary on season 2 wasn't all that good. I was apparently really tired. I didn't know I was tired, but I made that video, posted it, lied down, and immediately fell asleep. It was like 7, but I dropped. So, um, if you're wondering why that was so off, you now have the reason. It was so off. But, a few other problems with episode 2, season 3 was bad. That really pisses me off because I've had some really good jokes in there, and good commentary about what's going on, why the choices I made, why I think other people would disagree with those choices. But you know, who cares, right? So that's it for book review 2. Um, so I will be reading book 3, and we will be continuing the series. I've just been putting it off. All right, come on.